So this one really shouldn't take too long. It's the religious teachings about the nature of families. The next one is going to be about the purpose of families, but it's just a very quick look at about the nature of families. And over time, the nature of family has changed and has altered. We traditionally we used to have something called a nuclear family, in which you'd have a mother, a father, and two or three kids, which is like the common expectation, I suppose, in the West. But it's not the only way of having a family. And over the centuries, you would have wider families with grandparents, and great grandparents, and cousins living together or close together, supporting, helping each other. And it wouldn't be unusual for maybe parents going to work and grandparents or cousins looking after the younger children. And it would be seen more as a community effort in bringing up the children, and and that was seen as like normal like in the West and lots of countries around the world. Nowadays, though, over the last say 30 years, um, we have far more, many more types of families. And you will hear they're called step families or blended families. You might have heard of that phrase before. And this idea where basically you could divorce is more common. Like I said in the previous lesson, 42% of marriages roughly end in divorce. And those people go on, a lot of them go on and they remarry and they have kids from previous relationships and they become step parents. And this is also called like blended families rather than step families. Um, I think some people don't like the phrase step families, so they say more blended is a better way. And also, it can include same-sex couples, legally adopted children, conceiving children through IVF, surrogacy. So really, the nature of family has changed over the decades. And again, in the last 30 years, there has been a massive change in society in what was seen as as a ordinary family. And the Grandparents Plus report, the recent report from the charity Grandparents Plus, found that more and more people in Britain live in extended family lives. And this is because life has become so much more expensive in this country. Expensive to get married, expensive to buy a house, all the financial pressures. And so they found that actually more and more people are living more blended lives with the older generation, but maybe not necessarily out of choice, but necessity. Um, so, and so the role of parents really is to teach their children about right and wrong, morality, to teach them about their religion. It's within, as I say, the Catechism, the teaching of the Catholic Church there talks about here one learns endurance, clearly within a family, and the joy of work, love, generous, and even repeated forgiveness, and above all, divine worship in prayer and the offering of one's life. And so it's almost like the family is seen as a microcosm of community, of society in large. And so you learn how to interact with people within your family. And then when you go out into society, you've learned all those skills you need to be able to operate in society. And so obviously for Christian parents, they're going to want their children to reflect their Christian values. And they've listed some of them there. So life, generosity, compassion, loyalty, form loving relationships, think for themselves, to be tolerant, all those kind of things. And so you got the Christian teachings about the nature of families, and Christians are commanded to love each other. And there is a mixture of different types of relationships within the Bible. There are some examples of polygamy. Uh, King David, one of the most famous kings, had hundreds and hundreds of wives. King Solomon had hundreds of wives and thousands of concubines. Right, some of it is like his harem kind of stuff. So it's you have examples of polygamy within the Bible, and there are some Christian sects who have taken that. I mean, the Mormons famously, when they went to America in Utah, practiced polygamy. It's not as popular now over there in the West, over in America. In this country, polygamy is illegal. If you can only be married to one person at a time, And if you break that rule and you marry somebody else, that's called bigamy. And that's just not breaking the church's rule or the religious rule, you're breaking the law of the land. And so clearly, some traditional Christians disapprove of same-sex parents. And this is because, again, the purpose of sex is to procreate, and same-sex couples cannot procreate in the eyes of the church. And also because men and women are different, but they complement each other. They have different skill sets, different ways of approaching things, and for a balanced family upbringing, they believe that you need a male and a female to bring up the children. Um, so really, it's a really simple chapter, to be perfectly honest. I don't think there's anything there complicated at all. Just make sure you understand those key words like nuclear family, step family, extended family, polygamy, bigamy, same-sex pairs. There's nothing complicated within there whatsoever. So if you get a question which is talking about what is the nature, Christian teaches about the nature of family, you're going to be talking about the nature of family is going to be a man and a woman who are married, who have children within that marriage, and they're bringing up their children within their faith, respecting each other, all that kind of thing. So again, it's not complicated, it's not difficult. So the next one moving on to is going to be the purpose of families, and that'll be the next video.